topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where for the last 16 years, going on 17 years, we have been bringing you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I have to tell you, and I should have known this because we have got, I would say 60% of our audience are homeowners or condo owners. And we are going to be doing a show for the next 50 minutes with what I consider the top public insurance adjusters for this. Now we're doing this for California, which is our number one market, and actually half the Western states. We are so excited we have him. And I got to tell you, we've really been looking at numbers the last couple of months, and I'm going to tell you, public insurance adjusting, not only in the western parts of the United States, but even in our Texas show we do, it is our number one show where we get the most viewers on YouTube. So I know how important this show is to you. Let me introduce you to see if Joseph is here yet. What we're looking for Robert and we're looking for Joseph.
I'm here.
Let's see. I'm here too.
There I am.
Okay, there they are. You just popped up on my screen. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
See, I've got to say good morning to you, but I'm here on the East Coast. It's afternoon here, but welcome. I got to tell you, I am so glad we are doing this show. I think, because I've been through it before, that a public insurance adjuster is so important because I went through it and I was stupid and I almost took the first numbers the insurance company offered me. So let me tell you something. If you are a homeowner, you're a condo owner, you're a business owner, and you think that the insurance company is screwing you around, which they probably are, or you know what? You just don't know enough about this to see if what they're offering is right. This is why you need a public adjuster. So let me introduce you to Joseph Fernandez and Robert Crown. Let me say something. I keep wanting to say good afternoon, but it's good morning. Tell people. Let's start off with you, Robert. Tell people about yourself, your background, and your company.
My name is Robert Crown. The name of the company is Crown Adjusting. I'm with my colleague, Joseph Fernandez. I've been a public adjuster in California since 1985. We're a customer service professional organization that help folks when they are dealing with insurance claims. I was going to say problematic insurance claims, but every claim is problematic. We help people prove their loss, walk them through the process, mentor them, serve as a quarterback, not only for them, but for the other professionals they'll be dealing with, whether they're from the insurance company or on their own behalf, to help deal with the net effect of what a large property insurance claim will have on people's well-being, their personal property, their building, their temporary occupancy elsewhere. And we are their mouthpiece. We get them back, and we get them back with a good outcome.
Hey, Joseph, tell people about your background.
My background is in engineering. Was in engineering and did a lot of that for corporate companies for a very long time. But my father is a general contractor in the South Bay area for over 40 years. So I grew up around the construction industry quite a bit, working and understanding the trades and the type of work that's involved building out here. Even back in those days, the Bay Area is a very expensive region in California where the cost of construction, materials, labor are much higher. And so that sentiment still holds true today in today's day and age where we have that same issue. And so essentially I had that experience, started dabbling in the insurance industry and decided that being a public adjuster was an occupation where I could actually serve the public and helping them fight the good fight. And when I say fight, it's really just trying to get the insurance company to agree to pay them something that's fair. Because we all know the insurance company is tightening up their purse strings because of all of the losses that have been happening. And so they're mitigating their losses by trying to not pay be a little bit more frugal and not pay as much as they should be. And so we're there essentially to safeguard the consumer and make sure that they're paid fairly for their claim. Because again, the cost of construction and labor and materials have gone up through the roof.
So, Robert, tell us about, because I got a lot of questions after your last show. People don't understand how you get paid because it's really on a contingency basis, right?
Public adjusters work on a percentage of the recovery, but the expectation is folks are going to get a lot more money with us than without us. And in some cases, they're waiting to get confirmation from the insurance company that the claim is covered. And then they send in their own people, or they leave it entirely up to the consumer to report back to the insurance company on the extent of their damages and what they think they're owed. The industry has changed markedly just in the last 5 years. The insurance companies are so overwhelmed, and they're so they're kind of covering their backs by leaving it entirely up to the policyholder to figure out what to do next, which is not really what your insurance company is there for. They are supposed to look at the damage. They're supposed to help you assess the damage. They're there to acknowledge the claim and work with the consumer to make sure the claim is presented properly. So we of course, it'd be like you're bringing in someone that's going to step into your shoes, knowing what's required and do everything that you really need to do for yourself. And that's essentially why we're hired.
Yeah, I want to kind of start off the show since I went through this about 15 years ago. And first of all, every case is different. Don't go by my case. I was offered $30,000 for flood that I had in my house. And a friend of mine said, you should get a public adjuster. But I had no idea what the value was of what I was losing. So I almost accepted the $30,000. My friend of mine talked me into a public adjuster. I ended up getting $165,000. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to you. That's what only happened to me, and every case is different. But I want people to know how important a public adjuster is. So, Joseph, if someone has a loss, then what?
Well, there's a lot of steps. One of the things that we always tell people that call in that are going through this for the very first time you need to pretend as if you have no insurance at all. So what would you do in the instance if you had no insurance? Well, you wouldn't sit there and let the water pour in and ruin your floors any more than it is now. So you always want to protect and mitigate damages. Mitigate damages is just a fancy word for prevent things from getting worse. Stop the stop the bleeding, essentially. So where if the roof is leaking, if the water's running, stop the water. And the hope is that everything that you do to mitigate damages will, in the insurance eyes, they'll see that as you've been doing everything to prevent it from getting worse. Once you do that, you call your insurance company, you tell them what happened. You don't need to hide the fact that your pipe burst or however it happened, it happened. That's why they're there, to cover it. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to cover every instance, but you have to essentially tell them what happened so that they can understand what precipitated that loss when they start performing and looking into that further. So once you do that, then they're likely going to send out a vendor, or they're going to tell you there's a couple of people you can select from, and they're going to come out and they're going to start mitigating damages further. That essentially means they're going to start drying the place out. They're going to remove all the affected areas, the drywall, the floors, and they're going to put equipment in to start drying your house out. If it's a water loss, of course. And then once you've done that and you decided, well, I can either take this on my own shoulders, or you can say, this is going to be a whole lot of work. I have a full-time job. I have a family to take care of. Maybe this is bigger than what I can handle. And it probably is a good idea to reach out to someone who can help. And that someone is a public adjuster. And so you can call us, you can call anyone, and you can say, this is what I have going on. Is it worth me hiring you? And what we do is we talk you through the whole process over the phone, and then we schedule an inspection to go out there. We look at it because you might be saying, I think it's a small loss. It might not be too big. We go out there and we're like, wow, this is a huge loss. You're going to have your back against the wall trying to get your insurance company to understand just how involved the damages are. And at that point, then we go into contract, and we essentially alleviate you and relieve you of having to deal with any part of it. So that's in the case of if it's worth hiring a public adjuster. In the case that it isn't, well, then you have to find a competent, reliable contractor that is going to be able to essentially shepherd you through the various stages as you're going through the process. But I will say, be cautious, because a contractor cannot negotiate the claim on your behalf. They're a contractor. They're not a public adjuster. And so you might get a lot of pushback with a contractor trying to act as a public adjuster, because the adjuster will not pay any attention to him saying and trying to adjust your claim. So keep that in mind as you go through it.
So who contacts the insurance company?
The insured
does okay.
Well, when we get involved, the claim has already been made by either the insured, or sometimes the insured leans on the mitigation vendor to do it. And the mitigation vendor will say, don't worry, we'll take care of it. We'll file the claim for you. But most of the time, it's the homeowner, the insured, as we call them, will file the claim. And at that point, then most of the time, the adjuster will kind of walk them through, okay, we're going to send this person, we're going to do this, we're going to do all that. They need to dry the place out, they need to mitigate damages, and you're essentially are just saying, okay, well, whatever needs to be done. So they're filing the claim themselves.
So, Robert, when we think of a public adjuster or a homeowner's claim, we think floods, hurricanes, tornadoes. What other areas does a public adjuster look at?
Public adjuster can be involved in any property damage that is covered under the policy. So not all They're called perils. And in all peril policy, everything's covered. You have to go through the policy with a fine-tooth comb because there might be sublimits, but generally, fire, flood, ensuing damage from a contractor that's working on your house and he forgets to, not in every case, but let's say he forgot to tarp the roof while he was replacing it, and all of a sudden there's a freak storm. That generally would be covered by your insurance company, but some insurers will not cover damages caused by others in the course of their own duties. And that's a new restriction that you're seeing more and more of, because in California, insurance companies have, they have redefined many of their policies to limit claims, to limit the types of claims that they're prepared to handle. It might be important just to make a brief distinction between a first-party claim and a third-party claim. A first-party claim is the claim that you would advance to your own insurance company for the damages that you suffered as a result of something that's insured, like a flood or a fire. But when it's caused by a third party, your insurance company is going to ultimately advance the same claim that they should be advancing the same claim that you're making against them to the responsible third party, and they would absorb the expense to go after them. Because if they pay you $100,000 and it was caused by your roofer, they're going to look to recover from that roofer. What we find more and more is insurance companies that are telling the customer, oh, don't go to us, go to the person's responsible for it, because they don't even want to acknowledge the fact that you have a loss. That's wrong. It's always wise to let your insurance company know what has occurred, give them a chance to look at it or to better understand the kind of damages you're making claim for. And in this market, and not that I want to spend all of our time talking about it, but people are generally afraid, especially in California, that if they file a claim, their insurance company is going to drop them.
Yes.
So more recently, we got hired by clients in San Francisco, and honestly, it was only through having spoken to me that I encouraged them to file the claim with their own insurance company, because they weren't planning on doing it. If you don't file the claim, you're in danger of not giving the insurance company a chance to look at it, to evaluate it before they decide whether they will or they won't cover it. In the case of this example, they are not covering it because there's specific language to the effect that allows them to deny the claim. You're under contract by the person you engaged, and they were supposed to be responsible to protect the property in the course of their duties. That is tantamount to a professional liability claim. But, you don't really know how long it's going to take to deal with the emergency nature of the damages that you.
We got a question in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm here in Albuquerque. I'm really enjoying your show. I see that you're a California company. How would you handle my claim with me being in New Mexico?
If we were, we are licensed in other states, but if we were not, we would either partner with a public adjuster that's licensed in that state because we had the relationship with you, and it's a strategic alliance. There are some public adjusting firms that have affiliate offices all over the country that allow them to service business elsewhere.
Joseph, our next question is from Malibu. They want to know, I'm listening to your show. I don't quite understand. Do we contact you as soon as the damage is done, or do we wait to make the claim first?
Either one is fine. Sometimes insureds feel reluctant to file a claim for varying reasons. Maybe, is this big enough? Is it even worth my $1,500, $2,500, $5,000 deductible, whatever? Sometimes, most of the time when we're getting a phone call from someone, the damage is pretty substantial. Sometimes it isn't. Now, I always say you're welcome to call a public adjuster and pick their brain on the damage that you sustain. At least us, we're happy to get on the phone with just about anyone and talk through it. And in that conversation, we'll quickly understand if it's a loss that we think we can help you with, or if it's a loss that we think, it's probably not big enough for you to even file a claim, or it's a little too small for us, but this is what we would recommend. And we kind of give you a multi-step approach to resolving it, that sort of a thing. So you can call us as it happened. You can call us after the fact, after you file the claim. But regardless whether or not it's large enough, we're still going to advise and provide next steps because a lot of people need help, and we can't be everywhere at every time. But 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the phone, we know is very helpful to people that are in trouble.
We try not to base, our interest in someone else's problems on money alone, because people need help. They need guidance. So we will spend the time with them to give them some options, even if we're not the best fit for them. People have other ways of dealing with insurance claims. If we get called a year later and they're still arguing with the insurance company because they have an estimate from their own contractor for $150,000 and the insurance company's only paid $30,000. On the face of it, that's probably a good fit for a public adjuster, but
This is from Cal. Oh, this is a good question. Does your company handle community association, HOA, condo boards?
we do.
Okay. What claims are not a good fit for, say, a public adjuster?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is a claim where the insurance company is equivocating on whether or not they think they owe for it, because there are coverage conditions. The language in the policy might give them the right to deny the claim. So, we have been involved in claims like this, but the first thing that you've got to have to know where this is going is a confirmation of coverage that they are going to cover it. So there's something called a reservation of rights that clients may get when either from the very beginning, the insurance company had questions as to how the loss occurred, or whether or not it occurred as a result of an accident. And they are letting you know that they're going to do their part to help you, but they're not saying that they're going to necessarily pay you or pay you fully. Those, and I just finished it. Those claims, when we have claims that clearly have coverage issues, what we'll tell clients, and we'll try to help them set the stage for to get that confirmation before we agree to handle it. So, because, if they're not paying it, we can tell the insurance company what it's worth. You may end up needing to hire an attorney to make sure the insurance company is on the hook for it.
This is Remo, and can't even pronounce the name. It must be a very small town. He wants to know, do you ever have to go to court to get your money?
You don't normally go to court. You go to court when you can establish that the insurance company has not done their part. Before you would necessarily go to court, you would allow the insurance company, you would inform the insurance company that their calculation is incorrect, and you would ask them to work with you or with a public adjuster to reach an agreement on the value of the loss. And if they're not going to pay for one reason or another, but it is a covered loss, you can invoke a procedure called policy appraisal, which lets the insurance company know that you have a genuine dispute between your version of damages and theirs. It was initially intended and between the two, they work to resolve the claim.
What about, we just had someone write us, what about if a claim has already been closed? Can you go back in and refile?
You mean reopen? I think that person means
yeah, they just said refile.
Reopen the claim.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can.
You can.
Mhm.
Yes, you can. Each loss settlement provision has, there's an evolution of the claim. So you'd have to go back and look at what was done and when, and whether or not the insurance company came up with an incorrect figure in the course of handling it that would give the policyholder a chance to go back and say, it's not been 180 days. In some cases, you have 2 years, but it is really about the reasonable time needed to establish the damages and to reach an agreement with the insurance company. Sometimes you go back and you look at the timeline, and there was never the date for completing your evaluation of damages remains open. So, but you do have to look at the timeline, because an insurance company is not going to reopen a claim that's 5 years old.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
there
I
a
think-
statute of limitations?
Mhm.
Typically, yes.
Okay.
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. To both complete the evaluation, yes. To file suit, or to let the insurance company know that you want to reserve your rights to keep the claim open, and to hold them accountable for the way the claim was handled. So in each policy, there is a provision that lets the policyholder know how much time they have to file a lawsuit if they're going to file.
Here's a text came in from Oakland. I actually know the answer to this. I've been doing the show with you for so long. I mean, every situation is different, but they want to know, on average, how long does it take from start to end to finalize a claim and get paid on it?
Well, I'll give you some examples in the spirit of levity. Some insurance companies, I would say, forever.
Okay.
We have, the expression "problem children." I use that a lot these days, because the environment in California has changed. It's much more contentious. In the old days, you would have differences of opinion. You'd meet with the adjuster. You'd sit down and you'd look at the scope of the damages. You talk the difference in costs, and you would reach an agreement in order to bring some closure to it, and also because the owners have to get their lives back. They got to present their inventory. They got to hire a contractor, and so I would say, and I think this is generally the case in the post-COVID era, it just takes longer.
And sometimes even it's funny because we're on a claim right now that we just resolved, and this has been resolved now going on 4 weeks. That we got an excellent result. The homeowner is completely ecstatic with what we were able to get her. When we started, just to give you some context, when we started on that claim, it was a water damage claim. And it was around $30,000 that the insurance company paid, and we got it settled around $250,000. And
wow,
it was like, great, fantastic. But it's now been a month, and we have yet to get the money because it has to go through an approval process, even though they agreed to it, and it took a god-awful long time, about 10 months to resolve. Now you have to wait to get the money. And once you get the money, then we're going to have to process it and all that sort of thing. But the idea is that they just move slow. Even when you agree and you get a good result, that money is going to take its time getting here. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're earning interest.
They sure want those premiums right away, though, don't they?
That's right. They collect the premiums right away. But boy, when it's time to part ways with their money and part ways with your money, they slow roll it. They kick the can down the road and take as long as they can.
So 4 weeks is not unusual.
No.
Mm-mm.
And most claims are anywhere from, it's different around the country because, the way claims are managed on the East Coast is probably different. And having a relationship with a broker or an agent, sometimes they're able to speed things along. And part of it is, if you're relying on others, those others, especially in the summer, for example, people go on vacation. It's not the case that you can do everything you need to do to prove the loss if adjusters are taking vacations or life gets in the way of concluding this matter. We are careful about our commitments, but some people would just say, I don't care what you charge. I don't want to deal with the insurance company anymore, which is fine. It's not a reason for us to charge, percentages that are off the charts. We'll gauge each project based on the size, but we can never promise that we will be able to get the claim settled in 90 days. We can give people a ballpark. Setting unrealistic expectations is a recipe for problems in any negotiation. But we're pretty good at communicating with our clients, so they kind of know at every step where things are at, and it's not a public adjusters that don't communicate with their clients or are leaving themselves open to get into trouble. Oh, I haven't heard from I hired my public adjuster 6 months ago. I think I've maybe talked to them twice.
Wow. There's probably, just curious, what is the most complicated type claim?
All the ones that we have.
So there's not a certain type of claim that's harder than others. And by the way, I want to tell you guys something. We get more letters, people saying they love your stories. They wish you would tell more of them.
Oh, well, One thing that I was kind of half joking with Robert. I feel like the reality of our business is actually more interesting than what we sit here and talk about. Not that what we talk about isn't the reality, but just seeing everyday life of what we have to deal with from the insurance company, and how you almost have to be borderline cynical to just get through the day and deal with the craziness and the outrageousness of just, this is a black and white thing, and you're finding a way to make this so gray and complicated. It would actually make for a pretty entertaining show, let alone all of the funny things that Robert and I have to say about the insurance companies and whatnot. It's entertaining, but it's entertaining, unfortunately, at someone's expense. But
Yes.
sometimes you kind of have to have a little bit of humor just to put up with a lot of the ridiculousness that we deal with on a daily basis.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, I heard that like water claims and third-party liability claims are a little bit more complicated.
They are. And because we handle them, I think we look at some of these problem claims as a challenge, and we talk about those challenges with our client before we agree to handle it. A claim can be a first-party claim and a third-party claim, because the insurance company knows they're going to go after the responsible party, yet they want to say of the first-party insurer, they're going to agree to only cover some of it and not all of it, and let the property owner pursue damages through the third party with, some public adjusters will handle a third party claim. We won't, because it really should be, if there are coverage issues, they need to be stipulated by a coverage counsel or, an insurance attorney and an expert to say, no, that is not a coverage issue. That's a value issue, and you need to include it. Good example of that would be one that we're handling right now, where the insurance company says, because the roofer, I think it's actually a solar company, caused this problem, we're only going to cover the water damage that got into the house. We're not going to cover any portion of the shell or the building exterior. You can't fix the inside of the house without dealing with the exterior. So this is going to be an interesting claim for us. And it would be nice if we could be the heroes and ride in on the white horses and get everything that our client is going to need. Right now, we're concerned about the expense of properly valuing the loss with engineering, with attorneys, with us as their public adjuster. We want to have some assurances that there's going to be enough money at the end of the day to pay everybody. That's what we would call a problem child. Yeah. We didn't create it. We're actually there to try to help.
Right.
But we don't want to be, if we weren't good communicators, we wouldn't even take it on, because our client has to understand that some of the things that happen in the course of evaluating a claim are not, they're unknown.
Yeah. I got to tell you, one of the things I love about your company is you are so upfront with your clients. You don't mislead them, you don't oversell them, and you just do your jobs. We've got about 8 minutes left. I want from both of you, explain to all these people who are watching now and listening now, if they have a claim or know of a family member or a friend that's got a claim, why they should hire your company, Crown Adjusting.
I'll start off with you, Robert.
You can
There you go. You want to go first, Robert? You want me to go
No,
first?
I'm going to say, because I like to be funny periodically. I would say if we're dealing with the type of claim where there's a number of variables and factors, by the time I got done talking to folks about what might occur, if they still wanted to hire me, it would be because they really do believe that we are the best fit, because there's got to be a buy-in on both from us, a commitment to do the very best work that we can, and they have to be prepared to deal with a certain level of uncertainty. They should hire us because we're the best fit for them, and because we are good at what we do, and we're committed to delivering a great result. And I think that the problem that many people in our business, not just public adjusters, but even the people that are out there trying to help the consumer mitigate their losses, you can only be you can't be all things to all people all of the time. So you have to be mindful of your commitments. Joseph knows that I'm always talking about this, because it takes a lot of personal energy, expertise.
How about patience?
Patience is for our clients. Yes, that's actually key. And because it begins with a P, and I know you have to wrap up. Perseverance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think customer service to your company is so important as well.
Yeah.
By the time our clients are done with their claims with us, they're going to be, they'll have been through, freshman year, and have, a lot more information about what public adjusters do, because it's a learning process for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that, to answer the question about why us, they're at this point, at this day and age, more and more people are getting into the business of opening a public adjusting firm. And I think in part, a lot of it is based on the demand. And to be completely frank, there aren't enough of us to go around. So as much as we welcome our industry to get more professionals that are there to help serve, not everyone does it the same way. We take more of a tailored approach to the business and the claims that we handle. And the reason is simple. Every claim is different. You're dealing with so many variables to every claim. You're dealing with a different adjuster, a different type of loss, a different property, different vendors. And so if you take this cookie cutter, one size fits all approach, the likelihood of you getting a good result dwindles quite a bit. And so these big firms, not that is their approach, but the fact that they're doing a lot of volume, they tend to try and standardize their operations. And for us, we look at it quite the opposite. We have to cater our approach and our strategies to that specific type of claim, that specific type of company, that specific type of adjuster. And so that right there does require more time, more prep, more energy. And the good thing about us is we have the ability and the desire to devote that to that claim, because that we see has a direct correlation to the end result. And typically getting a better end result means having a happier client. And so that's why we have, over the reviews, that over 107 reviews of people giving us and referrals and recommendations, because we work hard for our clients. But it's not just working hard, it's working smart and being willing to put in that time and effort to get the best result and think outside of the box. Because in this day and age, the insurance company is getting tighter. They're not getting looser with their money, they're getting tighter with their money. And so you have to try and find ways to be a better negotiator, be more strategic, and be willing to work with other vendors in the industry so that you can accomplish the goal of helping the consumer. And that's what we do. We do that very well.
More and more of us are also ready, willing, and able to partner with the other folks in our industry that we know to use their talents and energies too, because it's a growing industry, the industry of public adjusting. But you've got to have a certain skill set, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. We're not afraid to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that we have the best with Crown Adjusting. So, Robert, tell people we've got your information, how they can reach you on YouTube, but for all the people on iHeart and Spreaker, Spotify, W4CY, tell people how they can reach you.
Well, we have a website. It's crownadjusting.com. You can find us through social media. But, all you'd have to do would be to find our contact info. We also have a sort of a very efficient little survey that people can fill out, and it gives us an idea of what they're dealing with. But hopefully under the scroll bar, our phone numbers are below. It's crownadjusting.com, and I'm Robert at crownadjusting.com. Joseph is Joseph. And our numbers, you can find us. You can also find us in where we have a presence in the Better Business Bureau. There's a volunteer organization in California that helps consumers called United Policyholders. You can find us through them, and you can find us through our National Trade Association, the National Association of Public Adjusters. And in California, we're listed with PCAP, Pacific Coast Association of Public Insurance Adjusters. That's a mouthful.
Well, you guys will be back again with this live next month. We've also made a decision. I haven't even told Robert and Joseph about this. We are going to start replaying the show based on such high numbers, and you really must enjoy the show. We're going to be replaying the show once a month also, so you'll get 2 shows. But hey, guys, have a
thank you, Stephen.
Thanksgiving. We love you guys. We'll see you next month.
Yeah, and we're going to try to bring in a guest speaker too.
Beautiful. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, Stephen. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll talk next month.
Bye.
Cheers. Is Crown Adjusting. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. If you're in the western part of the United States, and you have a claim, I'm telling you, these guys can get you so much more. Hey, that's going to do it for us today. We will not be with you live next week. We will have a great pre-recorded show. Hey, thank you to our great producer, Juan. We want to wish you a merry, happy, blessed Thanksgiving. You're the best, bro. Hey, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. See you then.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.